She thought she had made a terrible mistake when she sat in first class. But instead of embarrassment, the man next to her did something no one expected, and it changed her life forever. The airport was crowded, the long day weighing heavily on Emma Carter's shoulders as she clutched her toddler, Lily, in her arms. She was exhausted. Traveling alone as a single mother was hard enough, but after hours of delays, crying fits, and juggling bags, she just wanted to get home. When she finally boarded the plane, her mind was a fog. Balancing her bags, Lily, and her boarding pass, she just followed the seat number in front of her. First class. Emma barely processed it as she sank into the soft leather seat, exhaling a shaky breath. Lily curled into her chest, already dozing off. Then, a shadow fell over her. She looked up, and her stomach dropped. A flight attendant stood there, frowning. Passengers nearby were staring. "Ma'am," the attendant said gently but firmly, "I think there's been a mistake." Emma's heart pounded as reality hit. She wasn't supposed to be here. She scrambled to grab her things. I'm so sorry. I must have read the ticket wrong." But before she could stand, a deep, warm voice cut through the moment. "She's fine right where she is." Emma turned, startled. The man in the seat beside her, a strikingly handsome man in a tailored suit, was looking at the flight attendant calmly. The attendant hesitated. "Sir?" He nodded toward Emma. "She's with me." Emma's breath caught. "What?" She stared at him, completely confused, and then, with a small smile, he turned to her and said the last thing she ever expected to hear. "Stay." Emma's heart pounded. "Stay?" She glanced at the flight attendant, then back at the man beside her. Why was he doing this? I appreciate it," she stammered, "but I think there's been a mistake. I'm supposed to be in economy." The man gave her a reassuring smile. "Not anymore." Emma's breath hitched. Who was this man? The flight attendant hesitated, glancing between them, clearly unsure. "Sir, are you saying you purchased this seat for her?" The man nodded casually. "That's exactly what I'm saying." Emma's eyes widened. "But why?" He leaned back in his seat, completely unfazed. "Because I've seen enough exhausted mums struggling on flights, and if I can make your trip easier, why wouldn't I?" Emma didn't know what to say. Kindness like this didn't happen to people like her. "I can't accept this," she whispered. The man smirked. "You already have." Before she could argue, the flight attendant gave a polite nod. "Very well, sir." Then she turned to Emma, her expression softening. "Enjoy your flight, ma'am." As she walked away, Emma's mind raced. This was unreal. People didn't just do things like this for strangers. She turned back to him. "I don't even know your name." The man extended a hand. "Nathan West." The name sounded familiar, but Emma couldn't place it. Still in shock, she shook his hand. "Emma Carter." Nathan glanced at the sleeping child in her arms. "And this little one?" Emma smiled softly. "Lily." Nathan nodded, then reached for the flight menu. "Well, Emma and Lily, let's make this flight a little easier. What do you like to eat?" Emma stared at him, still struggling to process everything. Who was this man? And why did he feel so familiar? Something told her that this flight was about to change everything, and she had no idea just how right she was. Emma sat stiffly in her seat, still struggling to process what had just happened. This kind, handsome stranger, Nathan West, had just given up his own space to make her life easier. Lily snuggled deeper into her arms, her tiny breaths soft against Emma's chest. For the first time all day, Emma felt herself relax. Nathan glanced over at her. "You look like you could use a break." Emma let out a soft, tired laugh. "You have no idea." He smirked. "Actually, I do. My sister has 3 kids under 5. Every time she flies, she swears she's never doing it again. Emma smiled. I believe it. A flight attendant arrived with a tray. Here you are, Mr. West. Your usual. Emma's brow furrowed. His usual. She watched as the attendant placed a gourmet meal in front of him, far from the typical plain food. Nathan noticed her curiosity and chuckled. They take good care of me when I fly. Emma hesitated. There was something about him, something she couldn't quite figure out. Nathan noticed her hesitation and smirked. You don't recognize me, do you? Emma blinked. Recognize him. Her heart started racing. Who exactly was Nathan West? Then it hit her. She had seen his name before, on the news, on business magazines. Nathan West wasn't just a kind stranger. He was a billionaire. Her stomach dropped. Oh, my God. As if reading her thoughts, Nathan chuckled. Yeah, that Nathan West. Emma swallowed hard. She had just spent the last 10 minutes casually chatting with one of the richest men in the country, and she had no idea that he was about to change her life forever. Emma's mind spun. Nathan West. The Nathan West, billionaire entrepreneur, CEO, and one of the most influential men in the country. And here she was, sitting next to him in first class because he had insisted. She swallowed hard. You're... Nathan smirked. Yep. Emma stared at him, her pulse racing. How was he so... normal? Nathan took a bite of his meal, completely unfazed. You look like you're about to pass out. Emma exhaled shakily. This is a lot to take in. He chuckled. Relax, Emma. I'm just a guy on a plane. She let out a soft laugh. A guy on a plane who owns half the companies I apply to for jobs. Nathan raised an eyebrow. You're job hunting? Emma bit her lip. She hadn't meant to say that out loud. Yeah, she admitted. I lost my job a few months ago, and it's been hard to find something flexible enough with Lily. She glanced down at her sleeping daughter. Single mom schedules aren't exactly office-friendly. Nathan's expression shifted, something deeper, more thoughtful in his eyes. He leaned back. What do you do? Emma hesitated. Marketing. Well, I used to. Before everything. Nathan tapped his fingers on the armrest. And if you could have any job, what would it be? Emma frowned. Why do you ask? Nathan smirked. Because I might know some people. Her breath hitched. Was he serious? Emma shook her head. I don't want a handout. Nathan studied her for a moment before saying, Emma, you didn't ask for anything. I'm asking because I see talent when I meet it. She swallowed hard. Was this really happening? Before she could respond, Nathan pulled out his phone and sent a quick message. Then he turned to her with a grin. How about this? When we land, I'll set up a meeting for you. No promises, but if you impress them, the job is yours. Emma's heart pounded. This was unreal. Why are you doing this? She asked softly. Nathan's gaze flickered to Lily, then back to her. Because I was raised by a single mom, and I know how hard it is. Emma's chest tightened. This wasn't just some billionaire being generous. He understood. A lump formed in her throat. I don't know what to say. Nathan smiled. Say yes. Emma exhaled, her lips slowly curving into a smile. Yes. And just like that, a simple flight turned into the opportunity of a lifetime. The rest of the flight passed in a blur. Emma still couldn't believe what had just happened. 1 minute, she had been dreading the long trip, worrying about how she would get through another month without a steady job. Now, a billionaire had just offered to set up an interview for her. Lily stirred slightly in her arms, sighing in her sleep. Emma glanced down at her daughter, feeling something she hadn't in a long time. Hope. Nathan leaned back in his seat, glancing over at her. You're quiet. Emma let out a breathless laugh. I'm just processing. Things like this don't happen to people like me. Nathan smirked. Maybe they should. She studied him, still amazed at how down-to-earth he was. He didn't act like a billionaire. There was no arrogance, no condescension, just genuine kindness. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, announcing their descent. Nathan turned to Emma. "When we land, my assistant will reach out to set up your interview. In the meantime, if you need anything here..." He pulled out a sleek business card and handed it to her. Emma hesitated before taking it, her fingers brushing against the expensive cardstock. "Nathan West, CEO," it read. And beneath that, his direct contact information. Her breath hitched. He was giving her direct access to him. She looked up, stunned. "I don't even know how to thank you." Nathan smiled. "Then don't. Just show up and impress them." Emma swallowed hard and nodded. "I will." As the plane touched down, reality sank in. She had boarded this flight as a struggling single mum. She was leaving it with a chance to rebuild her entire future, and deep down she knew this was just the beginning. Emma stepped off the plane, clutching Lily close as the cool airport air hit her. Her phone buzzed the moment she turned it on, a message from an unknown number. "Emma, this is Nathan's assistant. Your interview is set for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Address is attached. Looking forward to meeting you." Her pulse quickened. No delays, no waiting. Nathan had set things in motion immediately. Adjusting Lily on her hip, she took a deep breath. This was it. A day that started with exhaustion and uncertainty had led her to something she never expected. A second chance. As she stepped into the terminal, determination settled in her chest. Tomorrow, she wasn't just showing up for an interview. She was showing up for her future.